the end of a long, hard-fought campaign for the next government of India. Now these elections come every 5 years, but this one is different. This has been perhaps one of the most bitter and polarizing electoral fights, fought on a never-seen-before scale. Towards the end of the campaign, both the BJP and the Congress made one last effort to woo voters with press conferences. And Prime Minister Modi did attend a press conference for the first time in 5 years. He didn't take any questions though. So at the end of it all, who has come out stronger? And what is the big message of this marathon election campaign? What does it mean for India today and tomorrow? To speak more on this, I'm joined by Narendra Taneja of the BJP, Salman Soz of the Congress, and Ratan Sharda, writer and political analyst who supports the RSS as well. Welcome to all of you on India Development Debate. Let me start by talking to Ratan Sharda about another big story which hogged the headlines as we went into the press conferences at the close of campaign, and that was the comment by Pragya Thakur on Nathuram Godse. Prime Minister Modi had to say in a campaign that he would never forgive her for this statement, but she is the BJP candidate. Do you think that that was an attempt at damage control, and this statement just before the last phase will harm the BJP's prospects in the remaining 59 seats?
First of all, Tamanna, there is nothing like right wing for me, because by economic policy, I would be more left wing than the right wing. So let us not get into the labeling of right wing, left wing. That hurts the debate. Coming to the main point, many people have made senseless comments, and including very mature so-called leaders of Congress also. So we should not pay too much attention to a novice in political game and who has suffered a lot. So she has made some statements, and we should just neglect them and ask her to take care of her what she speaks. And Modi ji has rightly said so. So that should not damage anybody or any debate, because worse things have been said during this debate, during all this election campaign.
Mr. Sharda, why would we be that generous in ignoring a comment from Sadhvi Pragya when no comment from anyone has been ignored by the media at all? And if it was something to be ignored, then why did the Prime Minister choose to call it out? I think underplaying is not something that even the BJP has done.
As I said, as the Prime Minister,
yeah.
No, Tamanna, if PM has made a statement and everybody has accepted it, she has accepted a mistake, she has apologized.
Yeah.
So, as I said, they have brushed away hua to hua, they have brushed away wrong thing, given to Oxford Dictionary about Modi lies. Rahul has spoken continuous lies all through these last 6 months. Those have been brushed aside. When top leaders make such statements, they can be brushed aside. Hindu terror can be brushed aside. So this is very small compared to what she said, and that has been closed by her and by the top leadership of the BJP.
Salman, we'll just talk a little bit about this controversy.
It is the RSS, yeah. It has suffered most because of Gandhi assassination.
Yeah.
It is RSS which has suffered the most. Hindutva suffered most because of Gandhi assassination. And naturally, it will not approve of such statement. It has hurt the Hindutva cause, it has hurt RSS, and it was a mistake done by assassin. We should not make it into a Hindu terror issue. How can you make a Hindu terror issue? Kamal Hassan was not hauled over the coal by you when he said he is the first terrorist. Do you want to go back to history and say who are the terrorists? So in the heat of the moment, such abusive and wrong statements are made by everybody. And none of it should be brushed aside. Yeah. But like bigger people who are types, then this is very small compared to that.
One is a candidate and one is not. Perhaps that's the difference. Let me get Salman Soz in. Do you think enough damage control has done by the BJP? And at the end of it, it is these 59 seats. The Congress has not managed to take it much forward, and considering there has been a quick enough retraction, do you think it's become a non-issue now, like Ratan Sharda says?
First of all, I condemn Mr. Sharda for saying that this is a non-issue. This is not a non-issue. We're not talking about some a political statement here or there. We're talking about the foremost leader of the Indian independence movement, dubbed by Subhash Chandra Bose as the father of the nation. When you glorify the killer, the killer of the father of the nation, then this is not a routine matter. This is not a routine political matter. And the shameful part
I
is
must counter
that
this
this
debate has
comes
gone on a different tangent.
from
I'd like to debate
a person
that.
who's accused of terror. Please do not interrupt me, Mr. Sharda. You had your say. Let me have my say. Then you can come back. This person who basically glorified the killer, the murderer of the father of the nation, was herself an accused in a terror incident, and she's been given a mandate by the ruling party of India, which is a big victim of terrorism. This country is a big victim of terrorism. So the message that has gone out to the world and to this country is that the ruling party in India, led by the Prime Minister of this country, Narendra Modi, pals around with terrorists. That is what is going on in this country. I think the RSS should understand that there is a line that they will not be allowed to cross.
Yeah.
And this is a line that has been breached, and we will be fighting back because this is unacceptable to the people of the country.
No, since you've made,
I mean, berating independence leaders, is that what they fought for?
Small
Is this what they fought for? Should they
Mr.
not be
Taneja,
ashamed?
you'll have to
Should
wait
the Prime
because
Minister
since
not
Salman
simply
Soz
apologize
has made a comment on
just throw
Ratan
this person out
Sharda, you
of the
will have to be
party?
given a chance to respond. Yes, Ratan Sharda, quick response, please.
I'm very amused by these people now taking name of Gandhiji. Gandhiji was sidelined right at the time of independence. He was sitting in Noakhali. He was not called the vote taking. When there was 10 days notice to the Congress that when Madanlal Pahwa said that Gandhi will be killed by a group who are conspiring, no protection was given to Gandhiji. He was not taken to hospital after he suffered the bullets. No care was taken, no postmortem was done. There's a huge cover up. You just went ahead and blamed RSS in spite of police saying RSS had no role, in spite of judiciary saying RSS had no role, in spite of those people who killed having they say no RSS role. In spite of that, 70 years you have carried on this charade and you want to exploit this particular heinous crime in the name of leadership. You people have created saffron terror story which died its death because nothing could be done about Saji Pragya, Colonel Purohit, anybody. And since that terror story has died, you are trying to cover up the so-called Islamic terror and bring. I want to stick to development debate. I don't want this to become religious debate.
No, I agree. It should not be a religious debate, but we must speak about it. 1 minute.
It's economic times, not times now.
1 minute. This is a development debate, but if this is a subject which has become a part of the campaign, we must talk about it. We can't ignore that it didn't happen. And let me come to Mr. Taneja on my question on that. A lot of the campaign so far, and we've ended campaign for 7 phases now, a lot of the campaign so far has been rooted in the past and what happened in the past. So Nathuram Godse has become, a topic of discussion and campaign. Rajiv Gandhi has become a topic of discussion and campaign. Do you think this is primarily come from the BJP, or is it the Congress who's talking about the past? Because people of India today have not heard a lot about issues which will impact them tomorrow.
Well, Tamanna, I disagree with you. 99% of the campaign was about the work that we have done over the past 5 years. If you look at if you just ask your research team to dig into speeches made by various leaders of our party, the Prime Minister, various ministers, the party chief and other functionaries, when we address a gathering, let's say for the sake of discussion, 30 minutes, 25 minutes, we are talking about development, the work we have done, particularly in that constituency. And then we are also responding to some of the issues, some of the allegations, some of the questions or doubts raised by the people. Hardly 3 to 4 minutes. Close to more than 95% time is actually spent on, a conversation with the audience there on the issues which are important to them. The unfortunate part, don't take me that I'm blaming anybody or media. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that, unfortunately, that part is not picked up. That does really find its way on the headline. They say, aapne LPG cylinder diya. We know that. Yeah, you help people to have a bank account. We know that. We don't want to talk about that. But if you have said something which they think is interesting or is spicy, that goes into the headlines, and there are debates in the evening on that. So, but as far as Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned, our focus is entirely on development.
No,
absolutely nothing else.
Mr. Taneja,
But when people do go around the country, let me finish. Last line.
Yeah.
Last line. All I'm saying is when people of the other parties are going around the country and in public rallies, instead of sharing their vision of India, all they do is they say Pradhan Mantri chor hai. So you have to respond sometime.
Okay.
That's all.
I just want to, I just want to counter your claim. No, I just want to counter your claim about, what the media picks out. And you're right, the media will pick out the juiciest parts of, a conversation or a rally. But in the age of social media, what the BJP's handle puts out, what the Prime Minister's office handle puts out, what the personal handle of the PM puts out, also shows which way the conversation is getting shifted or what the focus is on. And the focus has been on the BJP for a large part to distinguish between Namdar and Kamdar. And in that context, Rajiv Gandhi became a huge issue. So you did go back into the past. So on this, you can't blame just the media alone, because our headlines are not the only thing reaching people.
No, let me answer that. No, let me answer it. I'm a journalist myself by background, so I will never blame media without reason. I'm not even, now even then I'm not blaming. Blaming is a very, I'm just pointing out. I'm not blaming. All I'm saying is, if you look at, for instance, just to answer your question, Tamanna, if you look at our different website of various ministry, the Prime Minister's website, the party's website, even today, our focus is 95% things we put out are on the work we have done and the work we plan to do. Even today, while, of course, responding to, hua to hua, and those kind of, or Rajiv Gandhi thing and all that. But our focus has been on this, because ordinary people out down there in constituency, different part of they are not interested in these things. They are interested what is there for them. They are interested in what we can do for them. So for us, issues have not been only what we have written in manifesto. We have come out with a different vision for every single constituency. You just listen to the speeches by our leaders in different constituencies, which have been customized.
I think
customized for them.
So well enough, I'm one of those journalists who would have actually listened to the speeches before making, these comments as well. Let me come to Salman Soz. On what this whole campaign has been about so far, and one way or the other it has become about Narendra Modi. So he is the prime candidate. Amit Shah says that in all seats the MPs that the BJP has nominated are representatives of Narendra Modi. Rahul Gandhi spends a lot of his speeches, as do Congress leaders, talking about Narendra Modi. Did that in a sense feed into this whole persona and the projection of that persona which dominated the discourse of this campaign?
Well, this is no surprise, Tamanna. Let's face it, in the last 5 years, there's been so much propaganda through media. Sections of the media are compromised. I think we all know that. There's so much money being poured into propaganda. I mean, just in the last 2 months, $1 billion were put into electoral bonds, and we still don't know which parties are the recipients of these funds. So there's been this concerted effort by the Prime Minister to create a media image around him, and that is kind of standard operating procedure for would-be dictators. But the issues that we wanted to talk about and we've been trying to talk about are those that really affect the people of the country, be it jobs, be it farmers, be it small businesses, how they've suffered because of demonetization, GST, how the farmers have suffered because of minimum support prices not being at the level that they should have been in the early parts of the Modi government. But like you said yourself, I mean, let's face it, the BJP will talk about anything, the Prime Minister will talk about anything but his record. And that is reflected in all the media coverage that we've seen. They will do anything to distract attention from what is going on in this country. They'll distract attention from the Ministry of Finance's report just last month, indicating that the growth is slowing down on account of slowing consumption, slowing investment, slowing exports. What else is left? So they don't want to talk about all that. They do want to bring up issues like. No, let me just finish. Let me just finish, please.
Yeah.
They will talk about. They will talk about glorifying Mahatma Gandhi's killer. They will talk about besmirching the former Prime Minister of India who was murdered by terrorists in the early 90s. That is the politics they have, because they have nothing else to talk about, because they're losing. They led an incompetent government. And by the way, Mr. Modi's become bigger than the BJP and the RSS.
No, I want to talk about one minute.
Salman,
let me ask my question.
Basically nothing.
Let me ask my question, please. I want to talk about what the Congress's campaign has been. And I was listening to Rahul Gandhi's press conference today as well. And he talked about how well the Congress had done and had fought hard with less funds than the BJP, etc. And managed to, he keeps saying, dismantle the image of the Prime Minister. But on certain issues, and you mentioned some economic issues, the Congress doesn't seem to have managed to go hard enough. Now, if you look at 2013, 2014, when rising petrol prices and the weak rupee, etc., was a huge issue. Retail prices were a huge issue, and the UPA government then got dragged over the coals. Why do you think that the Congress's campaign, though it has been higher octane, has not been concentrated enough? It's all over the place. Sometimes it's about Rafale, sometimes it's about jobs. There hasn't been a clear direction.
Okay, Tamanna, it's a good question. It's a fair question. But let me try and respond to this by saying the following. We have a few issues that we have concentrated on. In fact, if you look at many of these interviews that the Congress president has also done, we've talked about rural distress all the time. We've talked about unemployment all the time. We've talked about small businesses and impact of demonetization and GST all the time. We've also talked about corruption in issues like Rafale. We have talked about these things. But let me remind you, Tamanna, on May 16, 2014, you remember that day very well. Everybody in this panel remembers that day very well. I was in the AICC headquarters for all day, and it was a pretty gloomy day for the Congress party. And I was thinking that now that Modi is the Prime Minister, they're not going to leave this government for 10 years at least. Here we are, Tamanna, after all these, after 5 years, and nobody knows. Honestly, nobody knows who's going to form the government. What does that tell you? What that tells you is that people are feeling some pain, and they have been made aware of what is going on in the country.
Nobody knows who's
now,
going to form the government.
They may not openly say things.
No, 1 minute. Before an election result and before the last phase, nobody knows. We are not going to pretend we know. No, I want to, okay, let Mr. Taneja wants to respond, and then I have to ask Mr. Taneja a question as well.
But that is an indication of how badly the Modi government has done.
They are claiming they'll get 300. You're claiming that there will be a Mahagathbandhan. Nobody knows. Everyone is just going to claim at this point. Come on, I have an intelligent panel here. Let's not pretend we know what the results are. Nobody knows, and nobody should claim to know. Mr. Taneja, your quick response, and then I want to come to another
important point. But that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying we don't know what the results are, Tamanna. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the same thing.
Just quick few points.
Yeah.
Just quick few. Salman, listen to me. I listen to you very carefully. There are other participants too in the debate, Salman. You see, the point is that we have said today repeatedly that we are going to win 300 seats. We are so confident. If the Congress can come out and they can announce how many seats they are going to win. They are not able to do it. They are not, because they know what's happening on the ground. Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad yesterday, he said that we are out of the Prime Minister's race. He made an announcement. We are happy if some other person takes the leadership. So they've already conceded the defeat. That's how people read these things. You may disagree, you are entitled to, but that's how we are looking at it. That's what most people are going to look at it. Now the point is, I say that, Tamanna, you can check into your archive. You see, Mr. Salman is saying that actually they have been debating job. No. For last 6 months, they have been only talk about this thing that Pradhan Mantri chor hai. Nothing else. Job was taken up as an issue. Mr. Rahul Gandhi started taking up jobs only the last 3 weeks. Only last 3 weeks. You can check the archives. And I challenge on that. Corruption, if Congress talk about corruption, people laugh. People just laugh. A party which is synonymous with corruption, talking about corruption, is a self-goal. Okay. Is a self-goal. So they don't talk about it. They don't talk. The moment they say corruption, log hasne lagte hain. So now the point is, they have not raised any issues. They have failed to come out with any alternative. Yes, they talk about Nyaya now. The manifesto which was written in America by Sam Pitroda ji, he wrote that single-handedly. He claimed that in an interview. It's written by him. Now the point is, our manifesto is crowdsourced, written by the people of this country. I think there is a huge difference between the two political parties.
Okay.
You see, and let me make my final point.
By the way,
Mr.
Taneja, that is a total lie.
Final point.
What you said about the manifesto is a total lie.
Or is it only Salman Soz?
Okay. No, no,
Salman
he's
So's
2
listening
versus
to
1
you.
here.
lie on
That's not
national television.
that's not the case.
You
He's
should
2
not lie
versus
on
1 here.
television.
Okay,
That is
wait.
not
Let me come to
appropriate.
Ratan Chadha. Let me come to Ratan Chadha. Ratan Chadha, you didn't like my last question. I let you say that, I don't want to talk about this and that. But what we want to talk about is decided right here. So I hope you like
But I
my next
responded.
question, but you will answer it in any case. The whole thing about press conferences and interviews that we saw towards the end, and this has become a big poll pitch as well, with the Congress saying that, look, the interviews that Narendra Modi gave were soft ones, the one that Rahul Gandhi gave had tough questions in it, no one asked him about, how you like to eat mangoes, etc., and that there was no press conference. Today there was a lot of excitement this evening when, we all realized that Prime Minister Modi would be sitting in the press conference with Amit Shah. He spoke, but he didn't take questions. Do you think that's something that matters to voters and sends out a kind of image that why wouldn't a sitting Prime Minister take questions? And that's the first time that's ever happened.
It's very funny that all kind of editors, good and bad, and for them they call paltu editors, pliable editors who have taken interview with Mr. Modi, and he responded frankly to all the questions. Now I'll make some other important point. One is that Mr. Souza very blithely put in a word called dictator. On what terms is he calling Mr. Modi dictator? He is been elected by people, the party has elected him, and the people who have their own personality cults cannot speak about Modi being larger than BJP. That's point one. Point two, I am already seeing them getting ready for moral victory. The way he's speaking, he's talking of moral victory. You talk of vote cutting politics, they very openly said we are there to cut votes. So their whole approach, now come to their policies, they said we are talking of unemployment, all that. They floated a wonderful idea for them called Nyay. But what did Nyaya happen? Immediately Mr. Sam Pitroda came on interview saying that middle class must sacrifice, as if middle class is to be made scapegoat. Then they said we'll take away money from rich, give it to poor. This modern day Robin Hood policies of old communist genre, will they work for the people? You are again saying that earning money with hard effort and earning money through industry is some kind of sin. People have done enough for the country. We must work for the poor. Mr. Modi has done enough for the poor compared to what Congress did for last 7 years.
Clarified it.
People see this. Now we will see how they vote. We will see how they vote.
No, of course, we will see how they vote. They clarified it, and this is another part of when we look back at this long campaign. This is another interesting part of this election. I don't want to call them the loud mouths, but the leaders and the fringe elements on both sides who have just shot their mouth off. In Sadhvi Pragya's case, she happens to be a MP candidate.
Last point is
so
just
that's
one
difficult.
point.
No, I want to come to Narendra Taneja. I'm not done with the press conference question.
Mr. Modi,
Ratan Chadha, you kind of deflected it, but I'm not done with the press conference question. I want to talk about it on my show. Mr. Taneja, about the press conferences and the interviews. So, when Narendra Modi took over as Prime Minister in the first year or so, a lot of us journalists realized how, in a sense, he had decided to make us redundant. And why I say so? That his conversation with the voters was direct, huge use of social media, there was an app, there was Man Ki Baat, and not a lot of answering questions. Now, as we've come to the end of this election, there was one press conference which he attended. He didn't take questions. There were interviews for sure. Some interviews had soft questions, some had fairly, hard questions. Do you think that that matters in this bigger picture? That people in a democracy want to hear their leader answering tough questions?
You see, first of all, you see the Tamanna, media means that, media is somewhere connecting, let's say, the government or the Prime Minister with the people. So that's the job of the media. And people have been so many interviews, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of interviews. If you just look at the last 4 weeks and how many interviews have, taken place with the Prime Minister, various channels, including practically all big and small and medium sized channels, they've all done that. This idea that you must have a press conference in this age of technologies in media, social media, Twitter, direct conversation, you have using radio and television, having this, different. So in this age where technology is available, where you can actually reach out to the people directly, If that technology is available, why shouldn't one employ that technology? This idea that has to be only a press conference is a very old-fashioned idea.
Yes, press conference is very different from telling
But just a minute, let me finish.
No, Mr. I'm sorry, I must come in on this.
Can I complete?
But you've made a very important point. You made a very important point, which is why I must come in on it. When you say what you want to say, that is very different from you taking questions. You're sitting here now, Mr. Taneja, and you're taking questions, some of which you may not like. And you're answering them, to the best you can. And viewers who are watching are judging whether the questions were hard enough or the answers were strong enough. It's very different from you tweeting out what you think.
Let me say. Usually the question is that this view is also subjective, whether the question is hard or question is soft. You just have to look at the interview done by Aaj Tak in India today with Prime Minister on Assi Ghat in Varanasi. Toughest questions any journalist could have asked. Toughest question any journalist could have asked. Rahul covered that interview. Please, I ask to your viewers to watch that so that they can understand what I'm trying to say. It's not that. Even today, the press conference took place at the party headquarters. And the boss of the party headquarters is Mr. Amit Shah. He is the president. That was his press conference.
I have to end this show, so I will now end with the last point from Salman Soz.
The Prime Minister made it very clear.
Okay, Salman Soz, I know you want to respond to a lot of things, and I'm sorry, I'm limited on time. That's why I have to ask you one last question. Are you preparing for a moral victory? Has Congress already thought of life after 23rd May, and what happens if the BJP comes back to power in full majority or a single largest party and tries to cobble together? Do you guys have the fight that the BJP has displayed all throughout to fight for that last one seat?
I think the look on the Prime Minister's face at the so-called press conference today basically tells you a story. The story is that the Prime Minister of this country will be a one-term Prime Minister. Mr. Modi is going to be out, and Mr. Taneja is going to be shocked, because that is what our reports are telling us. And wait for May 23rd. There is no question of a moral victory. We're just going to have a victory. And these guys are going to be defeated because they led a very, very incompetent government. And they also divided this country, put Indians at each other's throats. And that is going to be punished. And then they desecrated the memory of those who have fought for this country's independence and those who have served this country in the past. They made fun of the armed forces by saying that they used to play video games. Those kinds of things are going to bite them, and they're going to be defeated. Mark my words. Okay, now since that you've made this tall claim, I'm going to have to, Mr. Taneja would want to make a claim. 5 seconds,
exactly 5 seconds. If you may.
Yeah. What is he going to do? He's going to make a taller claim? I mean, they said 300 seats.
I didn't know.
Where are they getting 300
I didn't know
seats
Salman
from?
Soz. Tamanna.
Yes.
Tamanna, I didn't know that Salman Soz can read faces now. I didn't know that. Just last line. All I am saying is Mr. Rahul Gandhi is always saying, "Hum pyar mein yakeen karte hain." He talks of love. But when you listen to Congress spokesperson and Mr. Rahul Gandhi himself, all that they talk is hatred.
Okay. Let's not pretend that the BJP and the Congress have been exchanging hugs and kisses through this campaign. Let's not pretend that's happened. This has to be the most bitterly fought, polarized campaign. Ratan Chadha, who is very upset that I've said he favors the right wing. But I will give you the last line also in 5 seconds. Yes, Ratan Chadha.
I just want to know what are the number of seats that Congress hopes to win. That will answer my question that where Congress stands. Because all this filibuster on the press conference is always fine. But how many seats do they wish to, they hope to win when they look at Mr. Modi's face? I'm very relaxed, wonderful.
That question
and
was
I didn't mind you telling me whatever, but right wing, I hate the definition. It is a Western definition, that's all I say.
On May 23rd, Mr. Sharda.
Okay, we'll know on 23rd. By the way, that question was asked to Rahul Gandhi. He said, I respect the wishes of the people. I do not want to preempt. I'll have to end this here and thank all of you for joining us today. It's been a long campaign. It's been a long campaign, and now we have to wait for the results and see if any of these claims which you've heard today actually are reflected in the will of the people. That's all the time we have. News and updates continue. Stay tuned.